Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back, Julie. I've actually got a big announcement. I was waiting to share this with you and all of our listeners.
What's that?
Guess how many total downloads and basically how many agents viewed or listened to one of our podcasts in the last basically 12 months. 12 months and what would it be? 12 months and 8 days.
In the millions, but you tell me how many millions.
No, you got to guess. That's the whole point
I'm
of
going to
guess.
say I know it's over 2 million. I think it's over 2 million.
2.6 million.
Yeah. Wow,
So,
that's a lot.
Well, it is a lot, but here's the thing to keep in mind. A lot of the folks listening, there wasn't like 2.6 million individuals that listened. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of people listening on a regular basis. Most of our audience listens to us every single day.
Sure.
And which is a blessing and a curse, right?
Right.
Obviously we love doing this podcast, and it's a blessing that we have the opportunity to be part of so many people's lives, but it's a curse because we have to do it every day.
The expectations.
And it does take a lot of work.
Yeah.
And actually, guys, so thank you for keeping this #1 listened to daily podcast, and dare I say viewed for residential real estate. And I have to say we're also going to be doing a little spin on our normal podcast to give ourselves a little bit of break and frankly to talk about things that are other than real estate. Every Friday, Julie's calling it Fun Friday. We might think of a better name for it, or maybe that one's perfect. We're going to start talking about topics that are of interest to Julie and I, most of which won't be real estate related, but will be things that we think a lot of you guys will be very fascinated in. They're not necessarily even going to be business related, frankly. They're going to be headlines that Julie read or I read or things that we heard or things that we're studying.
Things of interest.
Right. So what Julie and I do, because a lot of time, what we've been talking about for the last 2 decades with real estate coaching is pretty much the same thing, right? Now we'll tell you guys about new marketing and branding and things like that, but for the most part, we're a skills-based coaching company that's all about momentum and business planning and financial planning, and really it's the essence of really what makes for a great business is what we teach. We're not flashbang, idea of the month, shiny object chasing, goofy, whatever it is, trendy, this, that, and the other. We are who you listen to when you've listened to all those other folks and you're ready to actually truly build a real estate business. But for us to stay engaged at the highest level and always be evolving our content, we have to actually keep ourselves involved in a lot of different types of things mentally. And that's what Julie and I often will do is we'll listen to our own podcasts, and then we'll talk about what we like. One of the questions Julie and I ask at the end of the day is, what did you learn today? Now, what's implied in the question is that you learned something that particular day, right? And so we've been married for 34 years this year. That's amazing.
I know.
And so what have you learned today question has evolved into is, what have you learned today that shocked you or frankly, I think will make you laugh. And so that's what I look for.
It's a great challenge, actually.
It is a great challenge. But that said, not such a great challenge lately with all this alien stuff.
I know.
All these drones and all this other stuff.
I'm so looking forward to that Fridays. It's going to be really fun. And we had to warn you, because most of you listening are regular listeners. We're warning you that that's coming. It's a little bit of an anything goes show, and there will inevitably be real estate tie-ins. But that's coming up. So
how are you going to do a real estate tie-in?
Oh, you just wait and see.
About an alien story.
Well, how do you know they're not looking for land?
Okay, I guess. Well,
I don't know.
In any event, that's going to be our new Friday theme, just to give ourselves a little bit of a break. Because these outlines that we create and we present to you guys, they take a lot of damn time and effort to create. All these outlines are new. We're not reusing content. Everything's fresh. So make sure you're keeping that in mind. And I know Julie newsletter.
Yes.
And if you want our outlines, make sure you go to harrisrealestatedaily.com and subscribe. harrisrealestatedaily.com is the only place you can download these outlines for our podcast. A lot of folks use these outlines for really their own education. Like frankly, the last couple, today's and yesterday's show will be a great way if you're, somebody's in their 50s and 60s and feeling a little bit off track or a little bit behind. These are great outlines for you to use to motivate yourself. Some people use it for their own social media content. That's great as well. A lot of folks are using it to educate and train their teams and their brokerages. I don't really care. Julie doesn't really care. We're creating this content. We're setting it free to the universe, hoping that it helps at least you, dear listener. But if you decide to take this information and then help other people with it, you've just allowed us to, frankly, be in alignment with what our highest and truest purpose on this planet is, professionally speaking, which is being of service to all of you. And if you then choose to be on the same wavelength as we are, then that's even better. Hopefully you understand. But the notes are available, harrisrealestatedaily.com. Just go to harrisrealestatedaily.com. Now, when you drop in your email, obviously that doesn't take any time. Remember, you've got to go to your other, if you were like, bob@gmail.com, then you've got to log into your Gmail account and confirm that you want the subscription. It's just a double opt-in process. If you skip the confirming that you want the subscription in your email, you won't get the newsletter, all right? So harrisrealestatedaily.com. Julie, we're picking up where we left off yesterday, and this is point number 3.
Yes, this is part 2 from yesterday. All right, point number 3, action plan. How do you build momentum starting today? Your first step is to define clear and measurable goals. What do you actually want to achieve in the next 12 months? Then you can break it down into monthly goals and weekly goals. You can break it into quarterly, again, monthly and weekly milestones. Write your goals down, display them somewhere visible. When you join Premier Coaching, you're going to get the treasure map, which gets into, very deeply how to do your goal setting, goals in 5 areas of life. Specifically, what do you want in the next 12 months? Now, it's easy to say, well, this year I want to do A, B, and C. But when you break it down, this is, again, something that we do with our coaching clients all the time. It's not just about what you want this year. It's what does that mean quarterly, then monthly, and then weekly. It's something I was just thinking about a call I had with Jeannie Adinolfi today, okay? This was a great example of breaking it down into weekly and monthly goals. She is set to have a really amazing month. She's got probably 4 transactions that are coming together in the next 10 days or less. She told me about them. They're virtually for sure deals. But we talked about the fact that that would make a really great month for her. But if she's not doing the action steps on a daily and weekly basis to do the next set of transactions, then that 4 deals will become not a great month, but an okay quarter.
So let's just quickly give them a for example,
Yes.
okay? Because everybody claims that they set goals, but very few people actually accomplish their goals,
True.
especially this time of year. So why is that true? Because you set a goal, but you don't create an action plan. A goal without an action plan is just basically...
It's a dream.
It's a dream. It's not really anything that's ever going to happen. Now, I'm going to give you guys... I don't want to belabor the whole goals thing too much because, frankly, when they join Premier Coaching, the Real Estate Treasure Map, which is their fill-in-the-blank business and life plan, is sitting there waiting for them.
Yes.
Just go to premiercoaching.com or click the link below and download the Real Estate Treasure Map first, print it off, and get to work filling it out. But what that's going to do, and I'll give you guys an example. So my mind is filling with all these different directions to go, but let me just choose the original thought I had. So let's say, for example, you're using Jeannie as an example. You have different areas of life or different financial things you have to pay for. You have to pay for your personal overhead. You have to pay some business overhead. You have to pay taxes. You have to have basically a fund, right? You maybe have a savings fund, right? Hopefully you do. So you're going to have different categories of things where your money needs to be going. Hopefully you're understanding what I'm saying here. And so what you're going to do is you're going to figure out what all those numbers are. Don't be embarrassed if you don't know. Most people do not know. And then what you're going to do is you're going to then write down what the big number is. Now, if, for example, you're stuck on knowing how much money you should be investing financially and where you should be investing it, we talk about that in past podcasts, but I'll condense all the learning for you right now. Vanguard Index Funds, S&P 500. There, I saved you the effort. Vanguard Index Funds, S&P 500. Google right now or use ChatGPT and find out what the return on investment or what the appreciation rate has been on the S&P 500 for the last 20 years and past 30 years. Double digit is the answer. So if the only thing you ever do investment-wise when you're saving money, because the reason a lot of people don't save is because they're intimidated by it, open up a Charles Schwab account, an Ameritrade account, it doesn't matter. And then start transferring over automatically a certain amount of money from your operations account every single month. On the first of the month, automatically so much money is going to get transferred over. Don't make it so you have to manually do it. You'll never do it.
Yep.
Make it so the money that you're going to be investing is out of play, and then make it so that money automatically gets vested in the S&P 500. Julie and I invest in several S&P 500, but the ticker symbol I always tell people about is VOO, Victor Oxygen. Julie and I are not financial advisors. Do your own homework. But there's a suggestion for you to get you started. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to create the different categories of things you have to pay for. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. If I were to ask all of you, how much money do you want to earn this year? You're going to pick an arbitrary made-up number, and sometimes a number that you have absolutely no emotional attachment to. It means nothing to you. And once you've been in the business for a while, you're going to start being fascinated with the idea of selling 100 homes per year. Or if you earn $250,000, now all of a sudden you want to earn $400,000. Why? Just because it's a bigger number, right?
Right, because Bob did last year and I can do better than Bob.
Exactly, because that lazy Larry in the corner office did 500 grand, and by gosh, if Larry can do it, you could do it too. There's nothing attached to it other than ego. But if you go and you know how much money it's going to cost to go on that vacation or several vacations, to pay off this debt, to do the things that we prescribe to you to do in the real estate treasure map, you're going to have a big number. The number that you have to earn this year to accomplish all those specific financial goals. Hopefully you guys are tracking with me. I'm not talking too fast. You understand what I'm saying. If I am talking too fast, I apologize. Just go to Premier Coaching, join Premier Coaching, download the real estate treasure map. It all maps it out right there. So you're going to come up with your big number, and then you're going to know how much money you have to earn to have your best year ever. How much money you have to earn to pay off your bill, cover your monthly overhead, pay off that nagging debt, pay for 3 great vacations or more, set aside money for this, set aside, okay, that number, whatever it is, let's call it 300 grand. Whatever the number is. Could be 100 grand, could be 3 million, doesn't matter, right? Whatever that number is. And I want you to keep it relatively conservative and realistic. We're not saying just throw a dart at the board and it's going to be a big brag number. Nope, we're not. You're not trying to flex and prance around your office and say, I'm going to sell 5 billion houses this year. You want to at least know what it's going to take for you to earn enough money to have your best year ever. Like at the end of the year, we're rolling into 2026, and you've gone on 3 vacations, you paid off that debt, you saved some money, you paid all your bills, all these things. That's a good damn year for most people. You with me? All right, so your number, let's say, is $300,000, okay? Now, what you're going to then do is you're going to figure out how many houses you have to sell per year to earn $300,000. Let's say your average commission is $10,000. You have to sell 330 houses. That's not completely accurate, though, is it? You need to factor in how much your net is off every transaction. Factor in your cap, factor in what you're paying your broker and all the rest of it. What is your average check? Your average sale price is the place to start, but then your average check and your average commission, and figure it out. Do the work, do the things, so you actually have real numbers. And then you're going to come up with how many houses you have to sell per year to accomplish that goal. Follow with me, track with me. I'm about to give you guys a big reveal here. So you're going to realize you need to sell, let's say, 33 houses per year to earn $300,000 because your average commission is $10,000. You following me? Now, that seems like a lot, especially this time of year. For many of you, seems like it's overwhelming. But I'm going to give you the cheat code for it. If you there's something we call in the treasure map, and we tell you how to go about figuring it out. You have to do the math that we prescribe to you in the treasure map. You're going to know what your magic number is. The magic number is the number of listings you need at all times to meet or exceed your financial obligations. And I'll make it super simple. For many of you, if you had 5 listings at all times, you would always have 2 or 3 of those in contract. This is just listings. I'm not talking about buyer side. And so if you had 5 signed listing contracts, active listings at all times, not leads, not hopefully you'll get it, but 5 active listings at all times, you're going to have an average of, guess how much money pending. You're going to have 5 actives, 3 will be pending at all times. Just on the listing sides, $10,000 each, $30,000 a month. That's $360,000 a year. You have to earn $300,000 to meet or have your best year ever. I've just given you a very basic formula and how to earn 20% improvement over that. So let's say your market slows down. You have those 5 listings at all times. Only 2 go pending per month on average. You're still going to have a great year. You guys get the point? And this is just building a business based on listings, and every single one of you can have 5 listings at all times. It's actually very easy to do when you learn how to proactively lead generate, when you get your head out of the clouds, when you start focusing on the desire to be rich and stop worrying about your brand and worrying about being famous. Focus on the bottom line, and you will be able to exceed financial independence and freedom faster than you can possibly imagine.
Everything you talked about from this step 1, define clear, measurable goals. It was taking them from, I want to do this, to how you're going to do that, because you're being very specific. You're not just, to your earlier point, pulling some arbitrary number out of the sky. And by the way, when you do the treasure map and you do the math that Tim just laid out for you, gave you a fantastic example, you're never going to find that it's exactly 500,000 or exactly 300,000.
Well,
you're going to find for you maybe it's $278,300.
But here's the point. Hopefully you guys are understanding what she's saying. If I were to ask you about your financial goals and you've not done the work and you actually haven't figured out the math, you're almost always going to tell me a number that's twice as much of what you actually need to have your best year ever, because you never actually done the work. And that's what emotionally burns you out and makes it so you frankly won't even get close to accomplishing your goals, because it's insurmountable. And I also will say that's where you start making dumb decisions about buying leads that result in you not making any profit. Know your damn number. Know how much money you actually have to earn per year to have your best year ever, and then focus on your magic number of listings, and then your life is getting simple. Your life will all be about, okay, so when you figured out you have to have 5 listings at all times, I'm going to give you another layer to this. That means you have to make 5 proactive lead conversations with decision-making adults about ideally selling their home every single day. The number of listings is equal to the number of contacts you should be making every single day. And no, that's not circle prospecting, or that's not going to the gym and talking to people about their dog and mentioning you sell real estate. I'm talking about conversations with decision-making adults who have their hands in the air right now saying, yes, I want to sell my house. Expires, for sale by owners, notice of defaults, the things we teach you in Premier Coaching. When you follow with what we're saying, and I know if you're in your 50s, really in your mid-40s, 50s, and 60s, you want this information because you're tired of being tired. You're frustrated with getting ready to get started. You now watch these goofballs on YouTube talking about all the marketing and branding, all this stuff. You see through it. You know it's bullshit. You know instantly because you've lived it. You've experimented with it. You know the truth. So stop fighting with what you already innately, intuitively know, and get in alignment with your highest and truest purpose, and move past your reservations and your fear of having conversations with people about selling real estate. In your community right now, I guarantee you, if you search the entire MLS, there are thousands of expired listings today. Thousands. How many have you contacted? Thousands. And yet you're spending how much money on that new campaign on Instagram? Thousands. And you're worrying about basically creating a new funnel. Thousands that you could have called, and you've only had to have worked your way up to having 5 listings at all times. Once you have the 5 listings at all times, guess what your new job in real estate is? Replacing what sells. And if you don't want to work the buyers, which some of you don't want to work buyers, because you're in your 50s and 60s, you'd rather be doing something else, you can refer those buyers off to independent agents and charge them, guess what? Up to a 40% referral fee. Zillow does it. You can do it too. If you want your time back, if you don't want to work nights and weekends, build a listing-based business, refer those buyer leads off, collect the 40%.
So all of that comes down to knowing your numbers and having definitive, clear, measurable, specific goals. Now, once you've done that, then we take you to step number 2. How are you going to do it? Well, Tim just laid out for you that you need to be talking specifically with people who have their hand in the air, who are likely to transact with you. We also have as part of that, so you can say step number 2 is proactive lead generation.
Well, step number 2 is reconnect with your database or create a really good database. A lot of you have never really created a good database. A database doesn't just have to be past clients. It could be centers of influence. But really at the end of the day, if Jules and I are to get back selling real estate, we'd really do 2 things: centers of influence and past clients, and we call expireds.
100%. And really, because we're really only talking about, to your example, 5 listings at all times. That's at all times. You don't count them if they're pending. They're 5 actives.
Right.
So your job is to replace them as soon as they sell. But remember, in order to do that, when you're calling the right places, okay, not circle prospecting, it's only 5 contacts a day. 5, that's it. So between past clients, centers of influence, probate, FSBOs, expireds, I put new construction builders in there for most of our coaching clients. You can do this, but certainly reconnecting with your database. All of you have a database. You might not have a polished CRM, but you do have a database, even if it's just the contacts in your phone.
Well, be honest, Jules, a lot of them don't know what to say. They're all like stymied because I've never contacted, their head's full of all this doubt. Premier Coaching, that's the answer. We tell you what to say.
And it's not hard.
We tell you how to say it. Exactly, it's not hard. It's all conversational. That's really what, again, if you're listening to this podcast and yesterday's podcast, you could be of any age, but we've geared this content to people that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and older. Stop. Frankly, guys, you have to realize that the reason you don't have the financial success and independence is because you did not do what you didn't want to do when you didn't want to do it at the highest level for long enough. I'm going to say it again, and this is for everyone. Julie and I have to tell ourselves this constantly, I promise you. If you want ever increasing levels of success in your business and personal life, you have to do what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level for longer than you think should be necessary, especially if you're comparing yourself to other people, which is, by the way, one of the worst things you can do. You have to lock in, stay locked in, and never unlock your being locked in.
That's right. It's the consistency of it. Now, step number 3, we've been touching on through the entire podcast, prioritizing listings. Listings are leverage. Aim to secure at least 5 actives at all times. If you've never done that before, give yourself 90 days to get there, but don't wait. You've got to get started today, and you must be proactive.
And we'll teach you how to do it in Premier Coaching. Just go to premiercoaching.com. You can join now for free, or just obviously you can click the link below in the show description and just join Premier Coaching. Do that urgently. What the heck are you waiting for?
And if you are in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and you've been in real estate for a while, and you're used to having 5 actives at all times, maybe you're used to having 8 actives at all times.
And you've always wanted that new Ferrari, here's your recipe for going about doing it. If 5 listings, to Julie's point, is easy, you don't even have to think about it. Increase your minimum, your magic number, the number of listings you need at all times, to 8 or to 10.
Think bigger.
Think bigger. If you wanted to take a month off in the summer and travel Europe, or if you wanted to donate money, if you wanted to pay for your grandkids' college educations, or hell, maybe you're wanting to, go to Italy for a summer or France and you want to become a master chef and it's going to cost a certain amount of money, increase the number of listings you have at all times. You already know you can do it. And if you've never had a listing before, if you've only had a buyer's-based business, well, guess what? You've waited long enough. It's time for you to realize the only leverage in real estate is when you are a listing agent. And frankly, at the end of the day, buyers are physical labor, sellers are mental labor. Learn what's necessary to work with sellers, and you will actually create leverage in your business, and that'll start creating freedom for you. You will never do that working with buyers, especially because so many of you have normalized paying these obscene referral fees and buying your buyer leads.
Yes, it's highway robbery. All right. Step number 4, invest in education and growth. Join a real estate coaching program. We have one waiting for you. It's
Really?
called Premier Coaching.
A coaching program called...
This should not be
a
a surprise for any of you. And every single day we have a semi-private coaching session with one of our 4 Harris certified coaches. So there's no excuse to be wandering around in the wilds of real estate not knowing what to do. You go to your daily coaching call with one of our Harris certified coaches.
Now, we've had thousands of you in Premier Coaching, and I mentioned this yesterday. We are releasing Premier Coaching 2.0 in another week or so, and we're going to be including Ethical Real Estate Professional. Ethical Real Estate Professional is going to be, look guys, go to the website Ethical Real Estate Professional, or go to Google and just put in ethical real estate, and you will find this website. So Premier Coaching clients are going to be Ethical Real Estate Professional designees. We were originally intending to sell Ethical Real Estate Professionals separately from Premier Coaching, but we don't want to. We want to make it so everyone in Premier Coaching is going to earn the right to be an Ethical Real Estate Professional designee. This is going to be the ultimate, frankly, unfair advantage in your marketplace, because we're limiting the number of agents we're going to allow into the Ethical Real Estate Professional program. Imagine you are in a competitive listing situation, which hopefully you all are imagining now. You're using the Ethical Real Estate Professional pre-listing pack. You've used the script. You've used the presentation. Yes, you're with XYZ Real Estate, but at the end of the day, the only thing that's really ultimate, what's going to differentiate you from the other agents? Let's say all the other agents are, essentially they know that seller. The seller's chosen 3 people that they know. So there is no, you have no, inherent advantage because they're your friend. That seller is friends with all these different agents. All right, so all the agents are talking about the same marketing, same branding, same advertising, same everything. So what the hell are you going to do to earn that listing? You are a Premier Coaching client. You have the Ethical Real Estate Professional designation, and the other agents don't. Don't you see how that's going to create a huge advantage to you in the eyes of the seller? Mr. Seller, I'm not sure why the other agents haven't taken the Ethical Real Estate Professional pledge, but I have. That is what we've created for you guys. And the way you're going to be able to be a part of this program, Premier Coaching 2.0, is to join Premier Coaching. Just go to Premier Coaching and you're automatically going to be upgraded in less than a month, where it's going to include the Ethical Real Estate Professional designation. That includes an updated, if you've been in Premier Coaching, you know how important this is, pre-listing pack, which you deliver to the seller prior to the listing presentation, which does most of the work for you, frankly. It's your silent salesperson. We've also created one when you're meeting with a prospective buyer, a pre-listing pack or a pre-buyer pack in essence, that will also sell to the buyer why they should be working exclusively with you because of the fact you're an ethical real estate professional agent. This is going to revolutionize your business and maybe even the industry. Be part of the movement. Join Premier Coaching. Go to premiercoaching.com or scroll down below and click the link. You can join right now for free. Step number 5, Julie.
Step number 5 brings it all together. Build a morning routine for success. Now, we've done dedicated podcasts about your daily success schedule, but for sure, concentrate on the morning. Start your day with 30 minutes of focused lead generation. Block distractions. Focus on high impact tasks. One of the biggest things that gets in the way is trying to be a multitasker and do your lead generation all at the same time. It's 30 minutes minimum of focused, dedicated, just lead generation. I was listening to a motivational podcast because, like we talked about earlier, we try and stay frosty and listen to a lot of different things. And they were talking about the consistency for athletes. And one of the concepts that I was listening to was they said be an everyday person. Not a when you feel like it person. You show up every day. You do it the same way every day.
Okay,
every day you've got this.
We geared these podcasts motivated by the person that basically messaged me through Instagram.
Yes.
Or through Instagram. And so let's just be honest. In your 40s and your 50s and older, you have the best energy in the morning. When you're younger, you can actually kind of pick your time of day where you want to do maybe the heavy lifting. But for people that are, let's just say, fully primed for success in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, okay? Seasoned, right, exactly. You, by the way, you realize how old we're going to be this year?
No, I don't know.
We're not allowed to say it? So Julie's going to be 34 for the...
Several times in a row. Yes.
All right, so the point of it is that you're going to have a better energy, your hormones are in check, all the things. So make sure you're doing do your heavy lift things first time right in the morning, including, by the way, working out. But that's going to be making the contacts. Do the things you want to do the least first thing in the morning and get them done. And you'll be proud of yourself for the rest of the day and have great momentum to do other amazing things throughout the rest of the day. That's the key with the morning routine. But really, at the end of the day, we know, you're living it, that, again, hopefully most of you are going to benefit from this no matter how old you are. But the truth is that those of us in our 40s, 50s, and older, you're going to have way better energy in the morning. Don't second guess it. Don't say I'm a night person. Okay, you can be a night person all you want, but no one's going to want to actually have a conversation with you about selling a house. You guys get it? Mm-hmm. So you have to meet the market where it's at and meet your hormones and your body and your natural energies where it's at, and that's going to be in the morning. All right, point number 4.
Overcoming common excuses. Not that we ever hear any of these, but let's just pretend. Excuse number 1, I'm too old. We've been talking about that. Here's a reality check. Your experience gives you an advantage. When you tell yourself I'm too old, replace it with I'm very experienced. Reset your mindset. Excuse number 2.
Do you remember that Ronald Reagan debate where he was debating Walter Mondale?
That was fantastic.
And
Tell them about that.
I probably won't get it right. They've all seen it. It's on Instagram where he said that he knew that Walter was going to basically pick on him for his age. And he said, I have made a decision not to make my opponent's youth and inexperience an issue in this election. And it was so funny that Walter Mondale himself started to laugh his ass off.
No, it was perfect.
It was such the perfect zinger to essentially put him on his heels. But really, that's the truth. And I have to say,
that's a great mindset.
The fact is that you're never too old.
No.
And a birthday is a blessing. Mm-hmm. And people that are like, don't want to talk about age and all the rest of it, guys, the alternative sucks. So if you're turning 65 or 75 or 85, that's a blessing. What isn't a blessing is not ever turning 65, right? You get it?
Yes.
So wherever you are in life, you've got to realize your best days are still ahead of you. If you choose for them to be, we gave you lots of examples yesterday of people that don't experience their greatest levels of success until their 50s and 60s. Most people, one of the facts I wanted to share with you guys yesterday is most millionaires don't become millionaires until they're in their 50s and 60s. And a vast majority of all first-generation millionaires in America do it from equity in their own homes, right? How many of you even realize that's the truth? Probably not many, because you are believing that everyone is Mark Zuckerberg. You're believing from Instagram that everyone makes all their money in their 20s and 30s, and now because you're in your 40s and 50s, your ship has sailed. It's a lie. And you got to realize you are at the right place at the right time. provided you do not fall prey to excuse number one, which is I'm too old. Excuse number two, I don't get technology.
Well, here's the reality check. You can learn one tool at a time. Progress beats perfection. And you know, when you go to Premier Coaching every day, you're going to be able to prioritize what is the tech that you need and what is just a bonus that maybe you don't even need to bother with.
I'm going to say the way we handle this is, frankly, when we're not asking tech support, which is our 11-year-old daughter, Zoe.
Right.
Okay, but the truth is that there is very little tech that you actually need to learn how to use. And the more time you're spending trying to learn that fancy tech, the less time you're spending in front of actual decision-making sellers, owners, about listing their home with you. So if you are thinking that your job is to learn all the latest tech, you're already making a mistake, which is going to result in you making no money. And as you become more successful, when you have 5 listings, 10 listings consistently, or 3 listings if you're blessed with a really nice sale price, you can easily hire someone, go to Upwork, go to Fiverr, hire someone to be your assistant to do all this stuff. Don't bother learning any of it. Watch some videos on YouTube, understand the concepts of how things work, get a sense of how things work, and then delegate it. But don't delegate it until you've got at least an idea of how things are supposed to work. Otherwise, you might get taken advantage of, frankly. And that's another problem we talk about, in our book. A lot of agents delegate, delegate, delegate. Well, what they do is they abdicate. Abdication is where you essentially give up all responsibility for whatever the task
without
is.
The accountability.
Without the accountability. And that's what most agents do. They, yes, delegate, but don't abdicate. Delegate and then micromanage, and put a system in place to manage to make sure that person's actually doing the job. It's very easy to do that, but like I said, you have to know how to do it. A lot of agents will come to us and say, I want to learn how to prospect, or no, I want you to teach these agents that work for me to actually start calling expireds for me. Well, have you ever called an expired before? No. Have you ever done this before? No. Well, I want you guys to teach them how to, or one of our coaches do it in 90 days. Teach them how to, call for sale by owners in 90 days. We won't do it, so don't even bother with that call. But if we then say, okay, if we were to do that, okay, we've taught them how to do it in 90 days because the agent, who's the lead agent, has never done the work themselves. They don't know whether the person's doing a good or a bad job. They don't have the experience. They don't have the actual sense of what it means to set an appointment, let alone pre-qualify. You guys get it? So if you're going to delegate something, you at least have to have a high-level understanding of how the thing works. Then you can delegate it, and then you'll have the experience to know how to hold them accountable. Hopefully all that makes sense. Next point, Julie, is excuse number 3.
The market is too tough. Gosh, it's so hard out there right now. But every market has opportunities. The best agents always find those opportunities. Remember, there's going to be between 4 and 4.5 million sales this year. So you might think the market's tough, but there's a lot of people transacting meanwhile while you're having that thought.
Well, that doesn't include new construction too.
Yeah, so add another, 600,000 or 700,000 to that.
At least.
Yeah, so if it's meant to be, it's up to me. You make your own market. I remember our first 2 or 3 years in real estate. Our first year we sold 103 homes. I don't know about you, but I didn't even have the thought that there was a difference between a good market, a bad market, a buyer's market, a seller's market. We were basically not even tuned into that.
We just wanted to pay off our student loans, basically.
Exactly.
But so with regards to that, if you know how to, for example, effectively set appointments by calling expireds, because it's one of Julie and I's favorite sources of leads, and you know how to do it. You use RedX if you want to learn about the service that we will suggest that you use for pulling expired phone numbers so you don't have to do it yourself. Just text the word RED to 47372 and we'll text you back a link where you can join RedX and save like $150. So just text the word RED, the color red, R-E-D to 47372. But look, the reality of it is that the more people who think, for example, calling expireds is too tough and you know how to do it, you have that, from a competitive perspective, you win. The more people that are unskilled or unwilling to do the real work of real estate, and you win. So when you hear people saying it's too tough, it's too hard, it's too this, too the other thing, and you know that's going to be the shortest path to helping people making money, and you're willing to do the work, you're going to succeed that much faster because that person is just waving the white flag before they've even tried to learn the skill. That means you're going to have less competition, more opportunity. That's how you need to see life. That's how I will suggest you see your real estate business, especially at this point in your life. All right, Julie, point number 5.
Yes, your 90-day success blueprint. Month number 1, reset and reconnect with your network. We talked about talking to everybody in your database, 5 contacts a day, 5 days a week. You don't know what to say, how to say it. That's what Premier Coaching is about.
I'm going to edit month number 2. This is in month number 2. Focus on taking 3 new listings, adjust accordingly. We have coaching clients that are essentially not screwing around, of all ages, who are not just setting 3 new listings in a month. They're setting 3 new listing appointments per week, and they're taking 1, then 2 listings per week. They're building up like, oh, I can't handle that many sellers. Let's worry about that problem when it becomes a problem.
That's what coaches are for.
We'll cross that. We'll cross the problem of abundance when we get there. Okay, stop using that as some sort of made-up excuse. I can only handle 2 sellers. How the hell do you know? Let's work up to 20 sellers, and let's figure out how to essentially put a system in place, which we've already got as part of Premier Coaching. That's a nice problem to have.
Yes, I have coaching clients right now in my calendar that have 53 active listings.
Exactly.
Also, they take regular vacations. They're very stable. They're not crazy to talk to, and they're not stressed out all the time.
It's like
why?
people-
Because they have systems to handle it.
It's like agents when we hear them say, I don't want to earn that much money. Imagine the taxes you have to pay. What?
What? Stop that.
I heard basically when you're rich, all it does is bring you a lot of problems. No, not true.
No.
Okay, so check yourself with what you're thinking.
Yes, and then in month 3, you can start to scale your efforts, refine your systems. That's usually when you're involved in coaching. That's usually when you get to your magic number of listings like we talked about earlier in this podcast, and you start to say, okay, now I've got them. I want to learn how to maintain them month in and month out. What are the systems, the skills, and the solutions that I need to put in place? That way I can do that very consistently. That's when you go to Premier Coaching. That's when you're connected with our Harris certified coaches. So in conclusion, success does not have an age limit. It has an action limit. So if you're showing up, you're learning, you're trying, you're ahead of most people. Your best years in real estate and in life are not behind you. They're in front of you. So get out there, set your goals, be specific like we talked about, take action, and make your next chapter the best one yet.
You're not too old. You are perfectly primed for the greatest levels of success you'll ever experience. And this isn't part of this outline, and because frankly it might sound a little bit political, but there is every reason to believe we truly are in a new golden age. Not just because of the change in politics, but also, frankly, because of the technology that's happening. Because all the winds are finally moving towards being at your back, which means you're going to be able to walk faster. We are at the absolute beginning stages of what probably will be, hundreds of years of the United States becoming the most, if I think it's been true certainly for the last couple hundred years, but the United States is just getting started. You are just getting started too. Anybody who makes you think the best days for you or our country or our industry are behind you, you've got to hit delete and ignore those people. Who knows what their motivation? Who cares? That's not you.
Nope.
The best days of your life are ahead of you. Your potential is all still there. You can do whatever the hell you want to do with life at whatever level you want to do it. Just stop fooling yourself that there's an easy button. Stop fooling yourself that there's a shortcut. There isn't. Do the real work of real estate. Remember, guys, if you want ever-increasing levels of success in your business and your personal life, you have to do what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level for longer periods of time than you believe. And I know what some of you are feeling. I know what Tim and Julie are saying are true. And I'm in my mid-50s or my mid-60s. And I wish I would have stayed focused in on, say, being a listing agent back when I was in my 30s or whatever. It's not too late for you, provided you can set aside the regret thoughts and just decide to basically take action now. And don't give yourself a lot of damn time. Don't say, well, I'm going to take 6 months to learn this and 6 months to do that. Nope. If Julie and I were personally coaching you and you came to us and you said, I'm tired of my own bullshit, I'm going to be a listing agent, I'm going to start actually saving money and start having the money profit to build wealth, we would say, all right, this is what you're going to do. You're going to do this every day. These are the 5 things you're going to do every day. You're going to be accountable every day. And you're going to actually be the person, quickly you're going to create the vision of yourself from the efforts that you take. A lot of you are going to waste time working on your mindset, working on your goal boards and your goal boards. Nope, get into action and you'll find that the action starts to create the vision of you that you've always wanted to be. Don't try to create the vision and then get into action. Get into action and then the vision will materialize as you start seeing yourself having conversations with sellers, setting listing appointments, taking listings, making the money. That's the vision you want. That comes from the actions you have to take. Thank you for keeping this #1 listened to daily podcast through our YouTube channel and obviously iTunes. We certainly appreciate your continued support. If you've not yet subscribed to our newsletter, please do so urgently. Go to harrisrealestatedaily.com. Have a fantastic day.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.